Hello everyone, this is teacher Marwan. Today we are going to go on with the grammar teaching part 3. We're going to talk about the definition of the word tense. Tenses are specific forms of verbs which are used to situate an action in time. According to the current convention in modern linguistics, English has two tenses, the present tense and the past tense. But this is just one way of classifying tenses in English, and not necessarily the most logical way. For the most logical way, the purpose of simplicity and clarity, many books and languages teachers use the word tense in a much broader sense to describe each of the different forms of a verb used to denote a different time frame, as is accepted practice for languages like French, Spanish, or Russian. It is important to understand that there is no absolute truth. Saying that there are two tenses in English is not any more accurate, nor more exact than saying there are 6 tenses or even 12 tenses. It depends on the criteria used to define the notion of tense. English verbs come in different forms and different aspects. So for example, in the two tense model, the English present tense is a single tense with 4 forms: the present simple, the present progressive, the present perfect simple, and the present perfect progressive. In the 6 tense model, these are 6 different tenses, each with 2 aspects, and in the 12 tense model there are 12 tenses. صيغة الفعل الأزمنة هي أشكال محددة من الأفعال تستخدم لتحديد موقع الفعل في الوقت المناسب. وفقا للاتفاقية الحالية في اللغويات الحديثة، فإن اللغة الإنجليزية لديها 2 من الأزمنة: الزمن المضارع الحاضر والزمن الماضي. ولكن هذه ليست سوى طريقة واحدة لتصنيف الأزمنة باللغة الإنجليزية، وليست بالضرورة الطريقة الأكثر منطقية. لهذا في البساطة والوضوح يستخدم العديد من الكتب ومدرسي اللغة كلمة متوترة بمعنى أوسع بكثير لوصف كل شكل من أشكال الفعل المختلفة المستخدمة للإشارة إلى إطار زمني مختلف، كما هو الحال مع الممارسة المقبولة للغات مثل الفرنسية والإسبانية أو الروسية. من المهم أن نفهم أنه لا يوجد حقيقة مطلقة بالقول بأن هناك نوعان من الأزمنة في اللغة الإنجليزية. ليس أكثر دقة ولا أكثر دقة من القول أن هناك 6 أزمنة أو حتى 12 أزمنة. يعتمد ذلك على المعايير المستخدمة لتعريف مفهوم الصيغة. تأتي الأفعال الإنجليزية بأشكال مختلفة وجوانب مختلفة. لذلك على سبيل المثال في النموذج ثنائي التوتر، فإن المضارع الإنجليزي الحالي هو صيغة مفردة مع 4 أشكال: الحاضر البسيط والحاضر التقدمي، المضارع التام البسيط والحاضر التقدمي التام في النموذج السداسي. هناك 6 أزمنة مختلفة لكل منها جانبان، وفي النموذج 12 فهناك 12 توترا. The word verbs are either transitive انتقالي أو intransitive لازم. Some verbs are always one or the other. Some verbs can be either depending on their use. A transitive verb is a verb that must have a direct object. Example: the dog was barking. The dog was eating a bone. In the first example, barking is intransitive. It cannot take an object. In the second example, eating is used transitively because there are an object bone. The verb eat can also be used intransitively with no object, as in the dog was eating. متعدي أو انتقالي. الأفعال إما متعدية انتقالية أو غير متعدية أي لازمة. بعض الأفعال تكون دائما واحدة أو أخرى، وقد تكون بعض الأفعال متعدية أم لا حسب استخدامها. الفعل المتعدي الانتقالي هو فعل يجب أن يكون له كائن مباشر. مثل كان الكلب ينبح أو كان الكلب يأكل العظام. في المثال الأول النباح لازم، لا يمكن أن يأخذ شيء. في المثال الثاني يتم استخدام الأكل بشكل عابر لأن هناك جسم عظمي. يمكن أيضا استخدام الفعل أكل بشكل لا معنى له، أي بدون هدف، كما في كان الكلب يأكل. The word voice, a key factor describing the way in which a verb is used. There are two voices, the active and the passive. الصوت عامل أساسي يصف طريقة استخدام الفعل. هناك صوتان، الأكتف النشط المعلوم والباسيف وهو المجهول السلبي. Okay, now we are going to talk about present simple and present perfect simple. Present simple tense and examples. In the present simple, third person singular, he, she, it, we add s or es or ies to the base form of the verb. Examples. To regular verbs, we just add an s. Example. Travel, it's changed to travels. Give, gives. Play, plays. To verb that end in s or double s or sh or ch or x and o, we add an es. Example. Wash, washes. Mix, mixes. Go, goes. To verb end in y after a consonant, any letter that isn't a vowel, we change the y to I and add es. Example. Study, we change it to studies. We omit the y and we add ies. And the same thing with the word fly. We change the y into ies to flies. Sometimes the present simple tense does not seem very simple. Here I will sort it all out for you. We use the present simple tense to express the following ideas: to state facts or general truths, to express habits or customs, to relate future plans, often regarding programs and timetables, to tell jokes and stories, or to report sporting events in real time. Examples of the present simple. The sun sets in the west. We produce lasers for cosmetic surgery. They move into their new home next week. So I go to Mr. David and say, I deserve a better mark in this class. John stops in mid-court and passes the ball to Shuster. Forming the present simple. For example, I sleep late on Saturdays. So the subject would be I, the verb would be sleep, and late on Saturdays is the rest of the sentence. Another example. He goes to the beach every weekend. He is the subject, the verb goes, the rest of the sentence is to the beach every weekend. Time expressions in the present simple. The most common time expressions in the present simple are usually, always, never, on Wednesdays, every Wednesday, twice a week, once a month, in general, every other day. Time expressions made up of one word that are placed between the subject and the verb in positive sentences and questions, and between the auxiliary verb and main verb in negative sentences. Examples. I always study hard for exams. Do you usually speak to him like that? Time expressions made up of two or more words that are placed either at the beginning or the end of a sentence, and usually at the end of the questions. Example. Ben goes to football practice every Tuesday. In general, I believe that all people can live in peace. Do you go to the supermarket every week? Negative sentences in the present simple tense. Spelling tip. When shortening the third person, he, she, it, negative, just remove the O in not and add an apostrophe. Like in does not, we change it to doesn't. When creating negative sentences, we usually use the auxiliary verbs don't and doesn't plus the base form of the verb. Note, save the long forms do not and does not for when you want to create emphasis when speaking. Put the stress on not. Examples. I don't or do not eat late at night. So the subject would be I. Auxiliary verb is don't or do not. And the verb in the base form is eat. And the rest of the sentence late at night. Another example. He doesn't or does not watch TV every day. The subject would be he. And the auxiliary verb would be doesn't. And the verb in the base form would be watch. The rest of the sentence is TV every day. Other examples. I don't like the food they serve at that restaurant. Jim doesn't work on Fridays. My friends don't usually leave so early. I do not want to go with you. Yes or no questions in the present simple. Punctuation tip. Always begin a sentence, question and WH question with a capital letter. He always does good work. Do you like me? What did they bring you? To create a question that will be answered with a yes or no, start the question with do or does. Then add a subject, the person or thing that does the action, followed by the base form of the verb, and only then add the rest of the sentence. For example, do you drive to the city on Mondays? The auxiliary verb would be do. The subject would be you. With the verb in the base form would be drive, and the rest of the sentence is to the city on Mondays. Another example. Does he break down often? The auxiliary verb is does. The subject is he. The verb in the base form is break down, and the rest of the sentence is often. Another example. Do you surf the internet every day? Does your boss give you positive feedback? Does Jonathan always turn off the lights? Don't you ever clean your room? Note, in the present simple tense, you may add a one-word time expression such as always, usually, or often between the subject and the verb. You may use a negative question with a time expression such as ever. WH questions in the present simple. WH questions are questions that require more information in their answers. Typical WH words are what, where, when, why, who, how many, and how much. To create a WH question, start with the WH word, then add do or does, then the subject, a person or thing that does the action, followed by the base form of the verb, and only then add the rest of the sentence. For example, what do you want? The WH word is what. The auxiliary verb is do. The subject is you. The verb in the base form, want. Another question. Why does he shout at you? The WH word is why. The auxiliary verb is does. The subject is he. And the verb in the base form is shout. The rest of the sentence is at you. Another example. When do you want to meet me? Why does Beth always complain so much? How much does the ticket cost? Why don't you ever go on vacation? Tag questions in the present simple. Tag questions are those short questions that are tagged onto the end of a sentence. They are used just to make sure the person you are talking to understood what you meant or to emphasize what you said. They are formed either by using a regular sentence in the present simple and adding don't or doesn't and a pronoun. I, you, we, they, he, she, it, and a question mark. Examples. John likes me, doesn't he? All those girls speak French, don't they? You may also add a positive tag when you are using a negative sentence. Keisha doesn't speak Spanish, does she? Those boys don't play sports, do they? As a rule, when the sentence is positive, the tag is negative. When the sentence is negative, the tag is positive. Exercises for the present simple. Fill in the correct form of the verb as in these following examples. Mark and Sarah play squash twice a week. Sheila doesn't do the family accounts. Her husband does them. Does Gillian usually meet clients so late at night? Here is an exercise. Every year, his family blank to Europe for 2 weeks. The verb that we need to correct is go. So, every year his family goes to Europe for 2 weeks. Tammy and Jen blank a pilot's class on Wednesday morning. The verb is take. Tammy and Jen take a pilot's class on Wednesday morning. The verb take stays the same. Blank that airline blank to Paris, and the verb is fly. We say, does that airline fly to Paris? The semester blank until the end of June, and the verb is not finish. So we say the semester does not finish until the end of June. Tony usually blank to call his mother in the mornings, and the verb is try. Tony usually tries to call his mother in the mornings. Blank for your car expenses, in brackets, who and pay. We say, who pays for your car expenses? The shop blank until 21 hour, and the verb is not close. So we say the shops do not close until 21 hour. Gerard blank the ball and blank it into the net. The verbs are receive and kick. Gerard receives the ball and kicks it into the net. Blank times a day blank you blank your dogs for a walk. The verb is take. So what we say is, what times a day do you take your dogs for a walk? Blank, he always blank his cell phone for long distance calls, and the word is use. Why does he always use his cell phone for long distance calls? Well folks, thanks very much for watching my video, and we will continue in my next video. Thank you.